Hi there. All right, so I wanted to put together just a quick review video on how we factor trinomials. And if you'll recall, there are basically two types. One where a is 1 and trinomials where your a coefficient is not 1. So we're going to start by looking at a couple examples for when a is 1. So the first example I have is x squared plus 10x plus 21. So we want to factor that into two binomials. First, we need to identify our a, b, and c. Now it's not written here, but we will assume that our a is 1. Our b is 10, and our c is 21. Now when we factor trinomials where a is 1, we really only need to look at our c. So our c is 21, and we want to take that 21 and we want to find the factors of 21. So we have 1 and 21 and 3 and 7. Now you also want to remember that because 21 is positive, negative 1 and negative 21 and negative 3 and negative 7 are also factors. Once you have your factors listed, you want to find which combination of factors will add together to give you your b, which in this case is 10. So we get our b from the combination of 3 and 7. Okay. Again, when your a is 1, which we see that it is, all you have to do to factor this trinomial is you have your two sets of binomials, and to get our x squared, it's going to be x and x. That's how we get our x squared. X times x is x squared, and then we take our 3 and 7, and we're going to just drop them in right here. So x squared plus 10x plus 21 will factor to x plus 3 times x plus 7. Okay, let's take a look at another example. This time we're going to look at x squared minus 2x minus 24. So again, let's identify our a, our b, and our c. So our a is 1, our b is negative 2, and our c is negative 24. So the signs in front of each of these numbers is going to be important, so you want to make sure you take that into consideration. Now we want to find our factors of negative 24. Now because 24 is negative, we know 1 times negative 24. One factor has to be positive, one factor has to be negative. We have 1 times negative 24. We have negative 1 times 24. We have 2 times negative 12. Negative 2 times 12, 3 times negative 8, negative 3 times 8, we have 4 times negative 6, and we have negative 4 times 6. So we have a pretty long list of factors, but if you can get them all down, you'll have a better chance of figuring out which combination gives you your b term that you're looking for. So our b here is negative 2. And so when we go through and look for which combination adds to give us a negative 2, we can see that it's 4 and negative 6. 4 plus negative 6 equals negative 2. So we simply take those factors and we drop them into our binomial so that it's x plus 4 and then x minus 6. So there's not a whole lot of work involved when your trinomial has a as 1 because you're just finding the factors of your c, and those factors that give you your b are just going to drop straight into your binomials. So remember, you also want to take into consideration if the sign of your c. If your c is negative, like in this case where it was negative 24, you're going to have multiple possibilities where one factor is positive and one factor is negative. All right, let's take a look at one last example. We're going to look at x squared minus 7x plus 10. So again, our A is 1, our B is negative 7, and our C is 10. We list out the factors of 10. Now it's a positive 10, so it's going to be 1 and 10, 2 and 5, negative 1, negative 10, negative 2, negative 5. As you start to do these, you'll start to get a feel. Since your B is negative, you already know that your positive factors aren't going to be the ones that you're looking for, but it helps to, when you're first starting or when you're first trying to relearn this, to list all of the factors. So in this case, we get our negative 7 from negative 2 and negative 5, and we're just going to drop them right into our two binomials. So we get x minus 2 and x minus 5. So we've basically looked at 3 different examples of how to factor trinomials when a equals 1, and each example was a little different in what your C term was. When it's positive, and you're looking for a negative B, then both your signs are going to be negative. Let's go back here. When your C is negative, then your signs in your final product they're going to be opposite. One's going to be plus and one's going to be minus. And again, if your C is positive and you're looking for a positive B, then both your signs are going to be positive. So take a minute, go through these problems again on your own, and make sure that you fully understand how to factor trinomials when A is 1, and then look for the next video. I'll go back and explain how to factor trinomials when A is not 1.